Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Key Gripe, the show for short, sweet reviews of new release movies, plus the one thing that annoyed me the most. And today, we're talking about Wonder Woman, and there are some minor spoilers. Hidden away from the world is the island of Themyscira, a place ruled by an ancient race of Amazon warriors. And when an American spy stumbles upon them, Princess Diana joins him on a quest to bring her ideals of love to a world consumed by World War I. The film stars Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Connie Nielsen, Robin Wright, Danny Huston, David Thewlis, Elena Anaya, Saeed Tagmaoui, Ewan Bremner, Eugene Braverock, and Lucy Davis. And the film is directed by Patty Jenkins. Now, I know I wasn't alone in wondering if the DCEU was going to survive after the less than impressive Batman v Superman, which I actually liked, and Suicide Squad, which I didn't like. So much of the success of this franchise was hinging on not only a commercially successful film, but one that resonates with audiences and provides a fun superhero experience. So along comes Wonder Woman, and suddenly there is hope, because this is a solid movie. Gal Gadot returns in her first starring role as Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, Princess of the Amazons. She appeared in Batman v Superman, but she was a minor character, and really her whole thing was shoehorned into the story. But now that she's center stage, she absolutely crushes it in more ways than one. She has the personality for the role and the action chops to make the fight scenes a lot of fun, and she deserves extra props for the fact that she was pregnant while filming this movie. One of the biggest risks going into a solo Wonder Woman film was director Patty Jenkins. She's not directed a theatrical release since 2003's exceptional Monster, and for various reasons that I'm not going to get into. Obviously, the question, though, was could she direct a big-budget superhero film? And the answer is very much yes, as she does a fantastic job with the visual story. It has a lot more light and color than we saw in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. But where her touch really helps is the patience in this film. It's not a non-stop action movie. It's a building story that follows Diana and Steve Trevor. It's also delightful and funny at times, but it's never excessively funny. It doesn't lean on the comedy like a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy does. Speaking of Steve Trevor, Chris Pine brings his personality to the story in a fun way. It almost feels like typecasting, though, since he's very similar to his Star Trek role of Captain Kirk. Robin Wright is excellent as Antiope, Diana's trainer and role model in the film, although unfortunately she doesn't last too long. Likewise, Connie Nielsen, who really is just there in the first act of the film, is very strong as Diana's mother, Hippolyta. She's intriguing and she's strong. It's very reminiscent of her role in Gladiator. And for the most part, the cast is great. You've got Lucy Davis providing some comic relief, Danny Huston being absolutely intense, David Thewlis, Saeed Tagmaoui. But there's also another reason this movie works. It's basically a Marvel movie, which breaks with the other films in the DCEU with their tone. It definitely follows the tone of the MCU more than it does the DCEU, which is proving to be a working formula. The MCU movies have been consistently popular, mostly because they're appealing to a wider fan base, whereas the DCEU films have really not hit that right tone with audiences. There's also a lot more positivity in this story. It's not dour, it's not dark, and it definitely highlights the ideals that Wonder Woman as a character really embodies. The movie itself, though, is structured a lot like Captain America the First Avenger and Iron Man, the original Iron Man, and it sprinkles in a little bit of Saving Private Ryan while they're at it. It's certainly a hero's journey story, which absolutely resonates with audiences, which is why this movie has been critically and commercially successful in its first weekend. I don't really have any big gripes, so there really isn't one key gripe about this movie, just a few little gripes throughout the movie. For one, the action is not always very strong. While there is a lot of very fun action, the hits don't land very hard. It wasn't dependent on really heavy action, but sometimes I feel like that actually weakens the film a little bit. The visuals are stylistically superb, but sometimes they don't serve the action very well. There are a lot of fish out of water moments, like Diana coming to the modern world, but they're inconsistent. Like somehow she knows what a photograph is, but she doesn't know what marriage is. So there's a lot of inconsistency in that fish out of water mentality. Last, Ewan Bremner's character is by far the weakest link in this film. I don't know what they wanted from him. It's really weird what his character does, who he is, and how he fits into the story. And I feel like it was basically just Ewan Bremner playing himself, but even more incoherent than usual. There's also something else about this film that I was somewhat annoyed by while watching the movie, but when I thought about it, it was actually really cool. The movie parallels the myth of Achilles extremely well. It's this myth of Achilles basically being destined to be this great warrior, but they try to hide him away so that he doesn't get involved with the war. And it's kind of the same thing with Diana in this movie. It's frustrating when you watch it on screen sometimes, where you don't see Wonder Woman tapping into that potential she has, but it's also this awesome parallel to Greek mythology that I'm impressed that they managed to pull off as well as they did. Overall, Wonder Woman is a fantastic movie, from Godot's captivating performance to the story to the action, which culminates in an epic climax. And while it doesn't tread much new ground, it does break through a very important barrier for women, both on screen and behind the camera. And perhaps more importantly, the Amazon Princess has succeeded where Batman and Superman have failed. They gave us the first truly good DCEU movie. I'm giving Wonder Woman an 8 out of 10 for being a lot of fun, for breaking some new barriers, for being somewhat cliche, but at the end of the day is still a very fun film. Let me know your thoughts on Wonder Woman, what you liked about the movie, what you didn't like. And that does it for this episode of Key Gripe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Nice work. Good job. If you like what you saw, you can just go ahead and click that subscribe button for all videos past and future. You can also head over to my website and see all the other stuff that I do, including the books I've written. So go ahead, click stuff.